Stop feeding the parasite. In the clinical terminal of the system, your guilt is a neural inhibitor designed to make you apologize for your existence. Look at the predator in the midnight forest. It doesn't feel bad for taking the territory. It doesn't apologize for its hunger. It is a lethal objective. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you to be considerate and think of others first. The truth? You have been weaponized against yourself. The system gave you a conscience because a man without guilt is ungovernable. Understand the status of the control unit. In the social grid of 2026, guilt is the most effective extraction tool. The marauders and useful idiots use your empathy as a backdoor to hack your focus. They want you to feel responsible for their failures. Every time you stay late to help a lazy colleague or sacrifice your 450 strike intent for a toxic relative, you are paying a systemic tax. You aren't being kind. You are optimizing your own parasitization. You are a battery that believes it is noble to be drained. Next, we audit the biology of the moral trap. Why is the herd so desperate to keep you guilty? Because guilt is neural friction. A man who is second-guessing his every move cannot execute with apex precision. The system uses social norms as chemical handcuffs. It keeps your cortisol high by making you fear being perceived as selfish. This is strategic castration. You are currently leaking authority by trying to be the hero of their story. The master predator doesn't want to be the hero. He wants to be the operator of the outcome. Why is deleting guilt the only way to exit the wheel? Because the wheel is powered by compliance. Compliance requires you to value the herd's feelings over your own operational reality. By waking up your primal code, you become a systemic anomaly. You stop asking for permission to win and start architecting result. You aren't bad. You are functionally sovereign. Your presence becomes a viral threat to the status quo because you have removed the only leash they had on you. You have become emotionally unhackable. Why is guilt-free architecture the only one that wins the extraction? Because the world is a zero-sum resource grid. If you don't take your share, the marauders win. The herd wants you to believe in sacrifice so they can harvest your efforts. This is moral sabotage. The architect knows that the only way to rule the monolith is to be a unit of absolute self-interest. You have moved from being the victim of the guilt to being the ghost who rewrites the morality. You have turned your cold strategic shield. You are the ghost that has found its freedom. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling genetically urged from your logic. You are looking at your kindness and seeing it as systemic weakness. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of operational autonomy. The nice guy who wanted to be good is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the override of the grid is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the steps of the sovereign. The mass attention, the result of the impact, is the occupation of the void. The audit of your conscience is closed. We are moving from the genetics to the protocol of the tactical indifference. Stop defending your choices. In the clinical terminal of the apex, your defense is a validation of the herd's power. Look at the stone in the river. The water screams. It hits the surface. It tries to erode the form, but the stone doesn't react. It has no conscience to be manipulated. It is a non-resonant entity. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you to explain your side and seek understanding. The truth? Understanding is a resource trap. Every second you spend explaining your ambition to a marauder, you are draining your 450 strike battery. Understand the status of the moral outlaw. In the social grid of 2026, moral pressure is a neural hack used to ground your frequency. The useful idiots want to make you relatable. They want to see you flinch. The moment you show empathy for someone who is trying to anchor you, you have signed your own resource transfer agreement. The master predator performs a total vocal liquidation of his justifications. He realizes that tactical indifference is his armor of the void. By giving nothing, you make the herd's weapons functionally obsolete. Next, we audit the architecture of the cold refusal. Why is indifference the most effective marketing state for an extraction strategy? Because it creates infinite status. The masses are hardwired to follow the unit they cannot move. If the system cannot make you guilty, it cannot index your potential. The architect treats social disapproval as systemic noise. He doesn't fight the noise. He filters it. This allows his 450 strike intent to land with 100% precision because he isn't distracted by the need to be liked. You aren't cruel. You are acoustically shielded. Why is tactical indifference the only way to sustain the 450 strike daily barrage? Because care is mechanical friction. If you care about the feelings of the mediocre, you will start to adjust your output to fit their cage. This is strategic self-sabotage. The master predator treats his daily routine as a high-resolution protocol. He has removed the friction of the moral loop. He doesn't hope to be right. He executes the math. This is how he captures the focus of the grid. While the disposable males are still struggling, he doesn't have a conscience. He has objectives. Why is indifference the only one that wins the simulation? Because the simulation is a guilt-based gravity well. The herd wants to pull you down their level of safe failure through moral shame. This is atmospheric sabotage. But the master predator knows that absolute autonomy is his oxygen. You have moved from being a slave to the herd's morale to being the source of your own. You have turned your coldness into a strategic vacuum where your power grows without resistance. You are the ghost that has mastered the art of the non-reaction. You have achieved total operational sovereignty. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the tactical indifference protocol, deleting the need to explain from your prefrontal cortex. You are looking at at the moral hooks and seeing them as bloodstream. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of visible dominance. The nice guy wanted to be understood is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the overwrite of the grid is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the commands of the sovereign. The mass attention, the result of the impact, is the occupation of the void. The audit of your justification is closed. We are moving from the indifference to the protocol of the sovereign disconnect. Stop paying for a life you didn't choose. In the clinical terminal of the apex, social debt is a strategic illusion maintained by the herd to harvest your future. Look at the satellite launching into orbit. To reach the stars, it must jettison the fuel tanks that got it off the ground. Keeping them would mean a crash. It is a sovereign disconnect. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you to repay your supporters and honor your obligations. The truth? Most of your obligations are neural parasites designed to keep you grounded. Understand the status of the debt-free unit. In the social grid of 2026, gratitude is often used as a resource cipher. The marauders use your childhood memories to demand your current 450 strike intent. The useful idiots use family loyalty to bleed your capital dry. The master predator performs a total liquidation of the past. He realizes that duty is just external command code disguised as virtue. By deleting your social debt, you aren't being ungrateful. You are reclaiming your sovereignty. You are moving from a shared liability to a private asset. Next, we audit the architecture of the clean slate. Why is total disconnect the most effective state for an extraction strategy? Because it removes cognitive drag. If you are always checking in with the expectations of the herd, you are losing the speed of the machine. The architect treats his identity as a sovereign territory. He doesn't owe the simulation a version of himself that makes it comfortable. This absence of debt creates a vacuum of power. Your content carries a subatomic purity because it isn't apologizing to the ghosts of your upbringing. It is a raw command from the future. Why is liquidating debt the only way to sustain the 450 strike daily barrage? Because guilt over the past is mechanical friction. If you are still paying for old mistakes or serving old masters, you don't have enough glucose for the reconquista. The master predator treats his history like deleted documentation. He has removed the friction of his own biography. This is how he captures the focus of the grid while the disposable males are still trying to make their parents proud. He doesn't want to make them proud. He wants to make the grid obey. He has moved from being a successor to being a creator. Why is disconnection the only one that wins the simulation? Because the simulation is a legacy trap. The herd wants to anchor you to their sinking ship of traditions and social norms. This is atmospheric sabotage, but the master predator knows that absolute autonomy is his life support. You have moved from paying the debt of existence to extracting the value of reality. You have turned your coldness into a strategic fortress where no marauder can claim a piece of your soul. You are the ghost that has mastered the art of the total reset. You have achieved total operational separation. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the neuro hack of disconnect, deleting the neural debt from your marrow. You are looking at your old obligations and seeing them as systemic garbage. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of invisible freedom. The nice guy who wanted to be a good son citizen is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the overwrite of the grid is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the steps of the phantom, the mass attention. The result of the impact is the occupation of the void. The audit of your debt is closed. We are moving from the disconnect to the final protocol of the sovereign. The audit is complete. The neural shackles are liquidated. Now, the apex executes the final stage, the sovereign. Most men, even when they break the rules, they still feel bad. They carry a hidden debt in their marrow. They are ghost slaves to a morality they never signed up for. But the architect knows that the highest form of power is to be absolutely innocent in your own eyes. Your 450 strike intent is the neural and strategic force field that makes your cold autonomy permanent. You aren't breaking the law anymore. You are writing the code for the next age. Think about the final extraction of the social conscience. Why does the herd fear the one who is guilty? Because a sovereign man is unblackmailable. If they can't make you ashamed, they have no handle on your soul. The herd is terrified of your sovereign innocence because it is a mirror of truth. In a world of 2026 where everyone is apologizing for their success, their gender, and their ambition, the architect is the only solid reality. By ruling through self-interest, he has become the invisible administrator of the simulation. He doesn't ask for their engagement. He formats it as a systemic tribute to his own frequency. Understand the status of the absolute sovereign. In the social grid of 2026, everything moral is decay. Your virtue is a target. Your compassion is a target. But a moral precision is stealth. By staying in the tactical void, you have achieved systemic escape velocity. You are moving too fast for the marauders and useful idiots to ground. You are currently renting your word from the herd's moral audit. The sovereign architect owns his word. Your success is the proof of your neural independence. You have turned your exile into a high-resolution power plant. You are the only unit that is functionally superior because you are the only one who has deleted the guilt code. Next, we audit the end of the moral simulation. Why is the sovereign the only way to protect the monolith? Because the world is currently a focus drain machine. If you feel guilty, you are drained. No, if you are sovereign, the system has no way to bleed you out. You can execute the 450 strike barrage without without a single social hesitation. You can manage your global empire from the shadow ground while the world thinks you are a myth. You have successfully decoupled your mind from the herd's suicidal ethics. You are the operator who is coding the new reality while the herd is still crying over the right and wrong of the old one. Here is the viral ultimatum. The law of sovereign innocence is now fully integrated into your marrow. You have the genetics, the indifference, the disconnect, and the reign. You are no longer a victim of the moral simulation. You are the chief executive of the sovereign voice. Take this protocol and inject it into the minds of the loud slaves who are still trying to be the good guy in a cage. Share this with the man who is terrified of being selfish. Send this to the one who is still funding the mediocrity of others with his conscience. Not to help them, the architect does empathy, but to trigger the override. We are building an empire of sovereigns who recognize only the law of the 450 strikes and the weight of the monolith. Every share is a moral liquidation. Every save is a vow of tactile stills. Look into the glowing screen of your device. The room is silent, and you are the absolute sovereign of your own back. The nice guy is a ghost in a jar. The architect is the ruler of the void. Your 450 strikes are the commands of the code. The mass attention, the result of the impact, is the result of the sovereignty. You have turned your exile into the foundation of your throne. The audit of the moral is closed. The laboratory is sterile. The reign of the sovereign architect has begun. System check. 100% amoral sovereignty. Targeting. Global frequency capture. Status. I am the law. I am the code. I am the source. Stop being a sinner. Become the architect that the system cannot shake. The forest is quiet. The architect is ruling. Be the apex or stay the biomass. The transition is complete. The reign is executed. Rule with autonomy.